I got back at them big time. I worked for 2 years at a tile store. I handled customers as well as worked in the warehouse, not to brag, but for those 2 years I worked the earliest shift that no one wanted, because you had to receive the daily truck and put the tile orders away by hand at 6 o'clock in the morning. But I also said I would work every Saturday as well. Now I didn't do this because I hated myself and wanted to suffer. It was because I wanted the outside sales job. The outside salesman that got the job entered right after I started and we hit it off quickly. We will call him Joe. Joe confided in me that he had no plans to continue this job after about a year or so, so from the get-go I said I wanted that job and worked my butt off to get it. Pulling shifts no one wanted. Doing jobs no one would do. And doing things that were definitely not part of my job description. This included doing a lot of the outside sales job. I would take over when Joe would call out or just needed help. He came to rely on me and gave me part of his job. I saw this as a type of internship, and thought it would pay off. Fast forward 2 years. Joe tells me that he is about to put his 2 weeks in and to get my resume together. He puts in his 2 weeks notice. I immediately put my application in. I got the backing from both Joe and the branch manager to get the job and did a pretty good job on the interview. I knew that I was pretty much a shoe-in for the job. I had seniority and had never caused a problem in the time there. I had a very good relationship with the contractors I sold to and knew all of them by name. The main part of the outside sales job was working with the contractors, so I felt confident to say the least that I had what the company was looking for. 2 other employees applied as well. An ex-convict who had anger problems, that will come up later. We will call him Bob, and a recently hired woman who had no experience in tile. We will call her Anne. The only other job she had ever done was as a secretary, and she was currently just helping customers with selections. Both of them were older than me. I was in my early 20s and both of them in the 30s. A couple days after that I got a call from HR telling me I didn't get the job. Instead, they wanted to give it to Anne. I won't lie. I thought I misheard or it was a prank at first. The only reason HR would give me as to why they passed me up for the position was you're just too good of a worker and valuable at your position for us to lose you. You do such a good job and are so responsible, we would hate to lose that. So, because I'm good at my job, you won't hire me for another one with more responsibilities. Yep. But to show how much we appreciate you, we are giving you a $1 raise. Do I still get my yearly $1 raise on top of this in a couple of months? No. Think of this as we are giving it to you 2 months early. I was fuming for a couple of days. Their excuse didn't make sense and I had a feeling that I was being discriminated against due to my age. However, I was set upon making a point that they chose the wrong person and came up with a plan. Because I was so good at my job I didn't get the outside sales job, so, if I was bad at my job, maybe they would promote me then. Let me rephrase. I wasn't bad at my job. But I told my manager that I no longer would work the morning shift, would no longer be there on Saturdays, would no longer do the worst jobs, and would no longer be doing any jobs that fell outside my description, including the outside sales job I had been helping with. Anne goes out for a couple of weeks for training and personal time, during which, things are already starting to fall apart. My manager asks me to fill in for Anne just while she is away. He understands why I'm doing what I am, but asks as a personal favor. I agree and things begin to get back to where they were before. Anne comes back and I resume my firm stand. Anytime something was supposed to be done by the outside sales position that I normally did I would send it her way. Customers, problems, heavy to lift things, and other favors I used to do for Joe I refused to do for her. It gave me a little relief to see her running everywhere trying to get everything done. She only asked me once to help her, to which I just told her that it wasn't my job. Those first couple of weeks things were a little rough as most of the jobs were left over from when Joe and I were running things, so, most of the problems came from the daily grind, but the weeks that followed were chaotic to say the least. Items came in late, jobs were missing or unordered, contractors didn't understand where their materials were. Mind you, these guys get paid per job, so every day their material isn't there, is another day they don't work or get paid. So when their materials don't come in, their workers who are paid hourly are getting paid for no reason at all. My favorite one is when she accidentally sent an order across the country costing the company thousands, as we lost money on that job. As things were starting to turn into the dumpster fire I knew it would, HR called me in to talk about my attitude. "We have heard of your attitude as of late. It doesn't sound like you are being a team player." "Well, I am sorry to hear that. Have I said something hurtful to someone?" "No." "Did I hurt someone's feelings unintentionally?" "No." "I don't understand what attitude you are talking about then. We have received word that you aren't being as helpful as you were to Joe as you are now to Anne." "Well, you see, I am far too valuable at my current job. I can't possibly detract away from that." They immediately saw that they made a mistake in giving me that reason as to why they didn't hire me. They then told me that I needed to be more of a team player and would pay me an additional $1 an hour when the yearly raise came around in 2 months. I told them that it wasn't my job to do what they were asking, and if they wanted me to do that they would have to negotiate my contract. They told me that they would need to discuss it and to reconsider being a team player. I didn't relent, and they weren't interested in renegotiating my contract. Well, 2 months after Anne got the job and things went to hell. She stepped down. Again, I put my resume in, as did Bob. Now remember how I said that he had a slight anger issue? Well, that came to a head just before Anne put her 2-week notice in. Bob threatened a contractor. The contractor was a real piece of work, but that doesn't excuse the fact that Bob threatened the guy. Regardless, with this now happening and Anne putting in her 2 weeks, I couldn't see how they couldn't hire me. It was me or someone who threatened customers. I once again go through the process. But this time I play my cards close to my chest. They didn't know that after Anne was first chosen over me, I started to look for a new job. Just as this interview process was going on, a company called me back and offered me an outside sales job at their company. It was lower pay than my current company's, but they didn't need to know that. They also did not need to know that I accepted the position and told them I needed to finish my 2 weeks. I wasn't going to give them my 2 weeks though. I was going to make it look like it was a competition and try to string it for those 2 weeks. The company offered me the outside sales job and nearly begged me to take it. They apologized for making the bad decision of picking Anne over me and told me that they would love to have me in the position. Now, let the fun begin. I promptly told them that I would need to think about this, as their competitor had also just offered me that same job for a higher pay. The look on their faces was to die for. I pretended that it was a back and forth for 2 weeks, which conveniently went over Anne's quitting date and my new job's starting date. They got anxious because they now didn't have anyone for the job and finally gave me a final offer. I promptly shot them down and told them I didn't want to work for a company that treats hard-working employees like shit. They can sleep in the bed they made. Then I told them I was starting the next day at the other company. I have never been so happy.
Now to the comments. I've also been held back from a promotion that I knew I was a shoo-in for because my manager thought I was too valuable at my job. That is to say, the morning after I found out that someone else got the position I wanted, which was a shock to that store's manager too, because he wanted me at his store, my manager came up to me and blatantly said, "You understand, right? You're amazing and I can't afford to lose you." I became the worst employee possible without being able to be written up because I hated that manager.
You understand, right? I understand you're holding back my growth and development at this company, yes.
Yeah, this kind of thinking from companies always bites them in the ass even if they don't realize it. They told me that they would need to discuss it and to reconsider being a team player. Why is it only a team player when it benefits them? Why can't they be a team player and recognize potential and pay accordingly? What that attitude? They're never going to get anywhere.
OP was a team player, and that got him jack shit.
I seriously don't understand companies that have a great employee, so they don't promote them. And won't give a raise either. Good grief. Kudos to you. I bet you're a great teacher.
OP replied. My kids say I am, but that might be because I'm more relaxed than other teachers. Honestly, I can see why they tried to do it. Think about it. Why move someone who can do the same job as 3 people? Not only do we have to hire more people, but who knows if they will be good workers. They lose money that way. It's easier to just pay $1 more and see if that will keep them happy.
Yeah, I get why they do it. But I can't imagine it not backfiring quite a bit. Relaxed teachers are the best. I also work at a high school.